Hello YouTube family, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're returning and if it's your very first time to be here, karibu sana sana. I love to have you here. It means my channel is growing, so please don't leave this place the same way you came. Consider subscribing, click on the notification bell so that anytime I post the content you'll be among the first people to be notified. Okay, yes, and let's also engage in the comment section, especially today when I'm having a guest here with me, like I promised in my previous videos, and she's here to discuss children from when they are conceived to when they are birthed. So let us just begin this series from here, so that as we continue building on it, then we have the right introduction or foundation to this entire series. So karibu sana, kindly introduce yourself and let's get right in.
Thank you.
Karibu.
Hello guys, my
Hi.
name is Joy. I'm very happy to be here. I'm excited to have this conversation. I'm a nurse by profession, so I'll share from my knowledge and experiences. I'm not a gynecologist, I'm not a specialist. Yeah, let's talk about this.
Wow. So when does someone realize that they are pregnant, and how is it before you actually get to take the test and get to hospital? Because I think it is recommended for someone to go to hospital as soon as they've realized they are pregnant. Take us through that to when they have to be there in hospital.
That's true. So the pregnancy journey is a beautiful journey.
Yes.
So it begins from the very beginning. Let's talk about, maybe let's call it our first week, when your brain has sent hormones, stimulated hormones. There's the FSH and the luteinizing hormone that are produced in the ovaries to help with the production of many eggs. But eventually only one egg grows bigger and bigger and starts moving towards the fallopian tube, because fertilization happens in the fallopian tube. So at this point, when that has happened, if intercourse, this is around the ovulation period. So if intercourse happens then, sperms are deposited. Roughly 500 billion sperms are released.
That's a lot.
But only one will get the girl.
Wow. Yeah.
So after that happens, the fertilization takes place so the sperm meets the ovum. Fertilization, that's what we call fertilization. The sperm meeting the ovum in the fallopian tube. After which it progresses towards the uterus, where implantation is going to take place. The baby grows in the womb, which is the uterus. At that point, if intercourse does not happen, that's when you get your period. Weeks after that. If fertilization has taken place, the egg proceeds to the uterus, where it implants itself to the wall of the uterus, hapa juu. And at that point, there are actually people who experience spotting, and it's not everyone, but some people experience spotting when implantation has taken place. So this is around week 4. Implantation has taken place. The zygote, the embryo becomes the zygote, which becomes the fetus, now your baby. Towards the 5th week now, our 5th week now, this is when you miss your period. Obviously, if you know that you know, get a kit from the chemist or wherever you get your pharmacy supplies. You go home, get you do the pregnancy test, the home pregnancy test. At this point, at around 5 weeks, it turns the 2 magical lines that tell you, oh my god, you're pregnant.
Yay, the excitement.
So usually these kids have a risk of giving a false positive, sometimes a false negative, because you're like, I've not missed my period, I've not seen my period, but the test is negative. So, or you have missed my period and the test is positive. So at this point, I would advise you to visit your doctor. Go to the hospital, have a conversation with your doctor, who will, so that they do the blood test, so that in case it's positive, you start your hospital visits.
Yeah.
You plan a schedule for how you'll be going to the hospital, and in case there are high risk pregnancies, for example, if you had other kids before through cesarean section, your pregnancy automatically becomes a high risk pregnancy. Or at that point when you go to the hospital, what you expect to experience during your first visit is the doctor will take your history. How many kids do you have? Have you experienced any miscarriages? Have you had any abortions? How many kids do you have? All this medical history. Do you have diabetes? Do you have hypertension? Do you have all these things, so that they plan ahead of time, and also to know how to best take care of you during this pregnancy. So at that point, your history is taken. Do you have any history of twins in the family? So that your history helps predict the nature of the pregnancy that you're going to have. So this first visit, immediately you find out that you're pregnant at home, kindly, as soon as you can, go to the hospital. This very first visit is very important, because this is when your doctor will ask you, when was the last time you saw your menses? That's the LMP. Because it helps calculate your EDD, which is the estimated date of delivery. At that point, your doctor will also prescribe an obstetric scan. This helps to just to help confirm your EDD also, and to make sure it's true that you're pregnant, how is the situation in your womb and all that. So the first scan also is very, very important, because we usually predict the EDD by dates, which is through your LMP and by scan. During your first visit also, you'll be sent to the lab. There are things that are very, very important that will be done. For example, your urinalysis, just to make sure there is no ketones or glucose or proteins in your urine. Will also be taken your blood to find out your blood group, because in case you lose a lot of blood during childbirth, some people might need transfusion. Also, if something happens and the outcome of pregnancy leads to you having a cesarean section, you might need blood. So at this point, finding out what blood group you are, it happens during that first visit, and it's very, very important. There is also something I call the rhesus factor that will be done also during that visit. The rhesus factor is very, 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 very important, because there's a condition that is called hemolytic disease of a newborn, which is very, very critical. It can be very fatal, especially for subsequent pregnancies. That's something you can go and Google, and just to have an idea of what that is. Or maybe that's a conversation we'll have in another video. So hemolytic disease of a newborn is something that can be prevented if you know your rhesus factor. If your rhesus factor is negative, there is an injection shot that is called anti-D, that is prescribed at 28 weeks and 72 hours post-delivery. So your rhesus factor will also be checked during the first visit. So after the blood works, you'll now you'll also be guided to a nutritionist office, or a nutritionist might be sent to you. It's very important to note that this doesn't happen in all hospitals. There are some hospitals that the doctor will be the one to talk you through the entire process, which is still fine. But some hospitals have a different structure where the doctor does his job, and then the nutritionist comes in and does their job. So a nutritionist is very important at this point, because they will guide you through your diet plans. What are you going to be eating, how many times, because if usually you are having like 3 meals in a day, now you need to up that by 2 more meals. So that means after breakfast you have a snack in between before you have lunch. After lunch, have a snack in between at around 4 before you have dinner. After dinner, before you go to bed, have a snack or a fruit or whatever. The importance also of hydrating, taking at least 2 liters of water per day. And the importance of in as much as you're eating healthy, you're eating well. So that we want you to be well nourished. We want your baby to be well nourished. At this point, you're feeding for 2, so it's very, very important that you eat very good food in regards to diet, like how balanced it is, so that you're eating a good protein, animal or plant proteins, depending on. I know during the first trimester things are a bit difficult because some people experience really chronic nausea. So you might feel like you don't want fatty foods, you don't want, whatever. So whatever works for you, do that. But make sure it's balanced so that you're eating enough vitamins, enough fruits, enough protein, enough carbohydrates, all these things, so that you're getting the minerals in. So your nutritionist is going to walk with you through this journey towards the end of the pregnancy, actually even postpartum.
Yes.
So a nutritionist is that health talk is very, very important. Again, the structure does not matter how you get the information, as long as you get that information.
So basically that is just it about the first trimester and just taking care of yourself and working with the doctors. And now we are going to the second trimester, where we call it the easiest part of pregnancy, but again, not for everyone. Is that so? So take us through the second trimester.
That's true. Some call it the honeymoon of pregnancy. Again, not for everyone. So after the first trimester, where you've gone to your first visit and you've decided on a plan on how you'll be going for your hospital visits. Is it monthly? Like, as long as they're regular, depending on what you're comfortable with and what your doctor is comfortable with. Now you have a structure, because now it's just you taking care of yourself, going to those visits, eating well, doing exercises, like don't lazy around, walk, go to work still, as long as you're comfortable. But into second trimester, now you're starting to feel a bit fatigued, a bit sleepy. Listen to your body, and if it needs rest, do rest. Because again, something very crucial when your pregnancy is very, very early on in the pregnancy, kindly avoid doing a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of hard work, because you risk threatening an abortion or threatening losing that pregnancy, especially for people who do very handy jobs where everything is so intense. Ease enough, like as soon as you find out that you're pregnant, start easing up on. If you walk to and fro work, you can walk some distance, that's okay, but don't overdo it. Don't overstretch your body, because you're going to get so tired and you might be very, very uncomfortable. So at this point, take care of yourself. Make sure you're sleeping enough, at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day. Make sure you're eating well, make sure you're hydrating, make sure you're in a comfortable space where your emotional health is good, your mental health is good, because we want you to be healthy all around. We just don't want to take care of your physical health. We want to make sure that you're well nourished in every single aspect. So the second trimester comes in, now your bump is showing really well. You're starting to feel the nausea is disappearing, the cravings are intensifying. Some people experience, especially towards the end of the second trimester, some people experience swollen feet. So again, when I say take care of yourself, elevate your legs when you're going to bed. Maybe 45 degrees would be okay, to help with the edema, the swelling of the feet. And at this point, you have arranged a schedule with your doctor.
Yes.
In regards to, I'll be coming to hospital every month. Whatever works for you. Also depending on your schedules and all that. But make sure you prioritize yourself at this point. In as much as work might be crazy, make sure at least you see your doctor at least once every single month, or depending on what you've decided. But there's going to be, especially for people who don't go to the hospital every single month, after, especially when you get to the third trimester of pregnancy, make sure you have at least monthly visits to the hospital. In early on in the beginning of your second trimester, you're going to start receiving the tetanus shots that are very, very important. And at towards the end of the second trimester, you'll also receive some deworming pills. So at this point, after you go to the hospital and nutrition is good, your weight is okay, you're adding weight as you should.
Yes.
Because some people lose weight because they're not eating well, especially there's something we call hyperemesis gravidum. It's when you get very, 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 very sick. Like there's some people that experience very, very bad nausea and vomiting, so that they lose a lot of fluids and they're so dehydrated they have to come to the hospital and be admitted for care. So we have to monitor you to make sure you're adding weight well, everything is good. So your second trimester is just basically you taking care of yourself, eating well, exercising in regards to maybe if you're doing yoga or if you're walking, whatever it is that works for you. Towards the end of the second trimester, at this point your breasts are fuller and they're preparing for the baby to come. There are some people who experience a little leakage of colostrum. If you see that, do not panic, you're not sick, nothing is wrong with you.
And just to ask concerning that, is this a sign that you're going to have enough or a lot of milk when the baby is here?
Unfortunately, it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee that, oh my god, I'm experiencing leakage. Colostrum does not mean I'm gonna have so much milk when the baby comes. It's just a hormonal thing. It's just your hormones that are all over the place.
Okay.
So you will have enough milk, but it's not a guarantee. Like it's not the ultimate sign that, oh, okay, so I'll have so much milk when the baby comes. It's just a hormonal thing.
Okay.
So second trimester, flourish, jibambe, slay, because you're going into a very interesting part of your pregnancy, which is now the third trimester. At this point, I'm hoping you're still taking your IFAS every single night, or whatever time that works for you. Again, you prefer, but it's very, very important. I know that some people stop taking IFAS at some point, especially the third trimester. People don't take IFAS. Kindly continue taking IFAS. It's very, very important. The third trimester, your baby is now growing at a very, very fast pace. The baby is also adding fat stores because they're preparing themselves to come into the world. So your you're going to experience much more hunger. For some people, that's when you find during your third trimester you're adding a bit of more weight. Do not feel ashamed at all. Eat as long as you're hungry. Eat. That's your response to what your body is telling you, and take care of yourself as much as you can. So at this point, I'm assuming you've talked about an individualized IBP, individualized birth plan, where you've talked about who is going to conduct your delivery. Where am I going to get this child? With what money am I going to, I'm assuming once you found out that you're pregnant, you start saving for your baby. Very, very important, so that you don't know whether or not you go for a CS or you go for a normal delivery. Either way, if it's not a government hospital, you'll pay. So preparation starts as soon as you get pregnant, right? But now in the third trimester, that conversation comes back. Okay, so we decided we're gonna have this baby here, or this is going to be the plan. So that is very, very important. There's some people that want a water bath, some people want a home delivery, some people, with a midwife, of course. But whatever your birth plan is, make sure you have that conversation again into your third trimester. It's very, 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 very important. At this point, you've bought or you're buying stuff for your baby, because at the second trimester, we forgot to mention, from around 22 to 24 weeks, you can know the gender of your baby. The problem with, I know you're excited and you want to know the gender of your child. I would want to know too. But there's a risk of you kind of wanting to know that earlier on. Why? Because especially if your child is a boy, the testes have not descended into the scrotum yet, very early on in the pregnancy. But from around 22-24 weeks when you go to take an obstetric scan, it's going to show clearly that this is a boy or this. At that point, the genitalia of the female is also fully developed. So you'll be told, oh, you're having a baby girl, oh, you're having a baby boy. So third trimester, you're buying things for your baby. But as you're shopping clothes for your baby, make sure you shop things for yourself too.
Yes.
Start getting maternity pads, start getting cotton wool, start getting your backpack for the baby, so that towards the end of the third trimester, you're starting to pack your bag. Because again, in as much as we talked about your EDD, and your EDD, assuming it's the 24th of August, it can come 2 weeks before or 2 weeks. The baby can come 2 weeks plus or minus 2.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks earlier or 2 weeks after, or on the D-Day. So you never know. Babies don't, oh, mommy, I'm coming today. You know,
Yeah.
they just come. Well, whether you're in a mat, whether you're sleeping and it's not, yet the day. So it's very important to be ready. So
Yes.
once you start approaching the end of the third trimester, make sure your bag is ready. Make sure you've packed your lasso, your hospital robes, things for the baby, everything that you'll need for the hospital stay.
Yeah.
Again, very, very important. So yeah, at this point, you're going back to the hospital every other month. We're checking your blood pressure, because there's some conditions that we want to prevent, like there's a condition that is called eclampsia, pre-eclampsia, eclampsia, that is usually comes about by when your blood pressure goes very, very, very high up, and it poses risk to your baby. Actually, you could lose your baby. So, and the reason why I'm emphasizing on the importance of regular hospital visits is because the doctors are able to, because once what happens when you go for a visit, you get your weight checked, your blood pressure checked, your all these things, everything checked, so that in case there's a trend that your BP is high, your doctors are starting to be concerned, okay, could this be preeclampsia? What can we do to arrest this, to make sure this does not go out of hand? Because preeclampsia, when it's not controlled, it goes into eclampsia, where you start experiencing fits and convulsions. You can lose, because the ultimate cure of eclampsia is delivery of your baby. So in case it's very early on, let's say 32 weeks, or 30 weeks, you have eclampsia, now your baby has to be delivered, because eclampsia can kill your baby in your stomach. So it's very important to go to this visit, so that you will make sure that you're healthy through and through towards the end of the pregnancy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so interesting to actually learn and relearn and unlearn some things, because we get to pick so many things from everywhere when we are expecting these children. And it is such a beautiful thing. I'm listening to you and I'm just realizing how God does things in a miraculous way. Because can you imagine, you don't know anything that is going, apart from the scan, you can't tell everything that is going on there until you have your baby, and then you start discovering some things. So thank you so much for spending time with us. Thank you so much for helping a mom and someone who or a dad who is also trying to learn these things before or even during the time that they're expecting their baby.
Yeah.
Any parting shots that you'd like to tell us?
Parting shot is, pregnancy is a beautiful journey. Congratulations if you're pregnant. Take care of yourself. Go to that hospital. Make your gynecologist your best friend.
Yeah.
In case you see anything, call your gynecologist or call your doctor. Find out, is this normal? There are danger signs in pregnancy.
Yes.
If you have yellowing of your eyes, if you have a headache that does not go away, if you have a fever, run to the go to the hospital as soon as you just again listen to your body. If something feels wrong, do not assume anything.
Yes.
Go to the.
So thank you so much for coming through.
You're welcome.
I believe you have learned a thing or two. Kindly share this video to someone. Let us not have this information just to us. Let it reach everyone, so that we don't have to keep repeating mistakes that we see women or mothers, especially first-time mothers, go through. So thank you so much again for hanging around. I hope you've enjoyed the first session of this series, the first episode of this series, and I hope to see you in the next one. So bye.